Welcome to the Stories on Coins channel. Today, I came across an interesting €2 commemorative coin. The designs on many commemorative euro coins often raise more questions than answers. And to understand what a particular artist intended to say when creating a new coin design, you should get comfortable, because today we will not just look at the metal, but uncover the story it holds. I have a Dutch commemorative coin from 2011. It has a face value of €2 and was minted to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the publication of one of the most famous satirical books in human history, The Praise of Folly. The coin was designed by the artist Dylan Shields. On the coin, we see two faces, the philosopher Erasmus writing his book, and a portrait of Queen Beatrix. This design was chosen to honor an important cultural event for the country and to pay tribute to the great Dutch humanist. But the first thing that interested me about this design was why he, a philosopher from the 15th century, was next to a queen who lived 5 centuries later on a coin dedicated to his work. Queen Beatrix reigned in the 20th century, while the philosopher Erasmus of Rotterdam wrote his work in 1509. Get comfortable, and I will tell you all about it. But first, things first. On the national side of the coin, we see a unique, stylized design. On the right is the profile of the great Dutch humanist and philosopher Erasmus of Rotterdam, who appears to be sitting at a desk bent over his work. To his left is the profile of the then Queen of the Netherlands, Beatrix. The inscription, Beatrix Koninginder Nederlanden, Beatrix, Queen of the Netherlands, runs vertically between the two images, and the year 2011 is at the bottom. This unusual pairing on a single coin is not just a designer's whim. It's a symbol of continuity. The Kingdom of the Netherlands, represented by Queen Beatrix, honors its great son, Erasmus, and his invaluable contribution to world culture. It's a kind of bridge between the past and the present, engraved in metal. There is also another fact. According to old laws, a portrait of the ruler at the time of minting must be present on the kingdom's coins. Although this coin belongs more to the European Union than to the Kingdom of the Netherlands, they decided to preserve this tradition. Now, a brief introduction to our heroes. Beatrix Wilhelmina Armgard is not just a queen, but a symbol of the monarchy's resilience and adaptation in the 20th and 21st centuries. Her life began during a very difficult historical period. When she was just 2 years old, Nazi Germany occupied the Netherlands, and the young princess and her family were forced to flee into exile in Canada. She received some of her early education overseas, far from her homeland, which undoubtedly left its mark on her character and worldview. After returning to her homeland, she received an excellent education, studying law, sociology, history, and economics at Leiden University. She became not just a future queen, but an educated and responsible monarch. Then, in 1980, came the day of her coronation. It was not a celebratory event, as one might think. It was a day that went down in history as the coronation anarchy. The country was in an economic downturn, and public discontent was growing, especially from squatters and youth movements, who considered the monarchy an outdated institution. In Amsterdam, where the ceremony took place, mass riots erupted, with smoke bombs and clashes with police. On that day, her mother, Queen Juliana, abdicated the throne, and Beatrix took the crown amid chaos and protests. But Beatrix proved to be not a gentle and popular queen like her mother, but a firm and businesslike monarch. She was an active participant in the country's political life. Unlike many modern European monarchs who perform only ceremonial functions, Beatrix had a real influence on the government, especially during coalition negotiations. She was often compared to her grandmother, Queen Wilhelmina, for her serious and responsible approach. She traveled the world strengthening international ties and always supported her citizens in difficult times. On the 2011 coin, she appears as a symbol of stability and continuity, a monarch who 5 centuries later is proud of her country's intellectual legacy. In 2013, on her 75th birthday, Beatrix did something seemingly incredible, but very much in the spirit of her family. She abdicated the throne in favor of her eldest son, Willem Alexander. This happened on April 30th, the same day she ascended the throne 33 years earlier.
Now, for the curious story of the philosopher Erasmus of Rotterdam and the birth of the masterpiece called The Praise of Folly. Imagine the year 1509. Erasmus of Rotterdam, a brilliant scholar and theologian, was returning to England from Italy. The journey was long and exhausting, and he fell seriously ill. To pass the time on the way, he decided to write something for the soul, something not serious, as a joke. Upon arrival in London, he stayed at the house of his best friend, Thomas More, the author of the famous Utopia. And so, while lying in bed, in just 1 week, he created one of the most brilliant and influential works of the Renaissance, The Praise of Folly. Legend has it that the name of the book itself is no accident. In Latin, it is called Moriae Encomium. In Latin, encomium means praise, and Moria is both the name of the goddess of folly and a play on words, sounding similar to his friend More's last name. Erasmus jokingly dedicated it to Thomas More, hinting that it was Praise of More. This book has no traditional heroes or plot. It is a monologue delivered by the goddess of folly herself, Moria. Standing on a pulpit, she passionately explains how she, folly, is the main driving force of the world. She goes through all layers of society, ironically proving that without her, life would be unbearably gray and boring. And here begins the most interesting part. Erasmus uses the mask of folly as a perfect tool to talk about the most acute and painful problems of his time without risking direct accusation. He critiques everyone, ordinary people with their superstitions and naivety, scholars and philosophers who waste their lives on empty disputes and pride, kings and courtiers who are obsessed with vanity and war, and most importantly, the clergy, from monks who are fixated on meaningless rituals to bishops who look more like secular princes than pastors. Popes in particular are criticized for, in Folly's opinion, forgetting their spiritual purpose and becoming engrossed in wealth and power. This subtle, masterful satire became a bombshell that had the effect of an exploded bomb. Erasmus planned to publish the book in a small print run for friends, but it instantly became a bestseller and spread throughout Europe. Some theologians were outraged, while others were delighted. Even Pope Leo X, who, according to legend, loved the book, did not dare to condemn it. Moreover, it is said that he laughed at some of its passages, and his patronage saved Erasmus from more serious accusations. But the story of the book does not end there. It gained another legend thanks to Erasmus's friend, the artist Hans Holbein the Younger. While reading the book, he made magnificent, witty drawings in the margins of one of the copies, which ridiculed the characters Erasmus wrote about. These drawings were so successful that they began to be printed in subsequent editions, and today we consider them an integral part of The Praise of Folly. Erasmus was not a revolutionary in the strict sense. He advocated for enlightenment, critical thinking, and a return to the original sources of Christianity. He did not want a schism, but his bold ideas, expressed in the form of folly, played a key role in preparing minds for the Reformation. This is why Martin Luther, the main ideologue of the Reformation, valued this book so highly. Ultimately, the Praise of Folly is not just a satirical pamphlet. It is the cry of a genius who saw a world mired in hypocrisy and prejudice. He wrote it not because he wanted a scandal, but because it was the safest and yet most effective way to tell people the truth. Thus, on the 2011 coin, we see not just two profiles, but a symbol of that eternal connection. Erasmus of Rotterdam and his great book, which has not lost its relevance even after 5 centuries, and Queen Beatrix, whose profile symbolizes the continuity of power and respect for the great figures of the past. That's all for today. Write in the comments what you think about this story and what coins you would like to hear stories about. See you again on the Coin Stories channel.